No, I was actually looking at your stuff last night. It looks awesome. You're located in like the Brainerd area,
Yeah,
right?
Brainerd Lakes area.
Okay.
Yep.
So how far do you guys actually travel or service?
Minneapolis, St. Paul. I mean, I've done some stuff outside of that as well. So a couple hours is kind of my range. Not to say if something came up that I wouldn't do something more long distance. I like being more local and being able to be on job sites day to day or when stuff comes up to get questions answered for subcontractors and keep projects moving. So I find that interesting. Some designers like do all these cross country, but they're not there day to day. So
Sure.
I like to be kind of there on site when I can.
Oh, it would not be uncommon for an interior designer to work remotely?
A lot of them do, actually. So there's a lot of like, even from Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is like 2.5 hours south of us, there's a lot of homeowners that use designers down there for projects up where we're at. And it's, yeah, more phone calls, emails, some job site visits, but not as much as I'm available to be there for projects.
What does your design process look like? How do you start? Or maybe walk through your process, your design process with a client.
Yeah. So best scenario, I like to be involved from the start. Like day one when they're starting with the architect. So we can look at floor plans. I can make any suggestions on my end. And then, yeah, going with the contractor and being a part of the process the whole time. So for the process, I do interior, exterior selections. I mean, from the flooring to paint colors to countertops to soft finishes, furniture. So I'm kind of there through the process. I mean, even when the home's done.
From design to done, essentially.
Yeah.
No, I definitely see the advantage of having the interior designer on board right away.
Yep.
I mean, I'm working on a project right now. The client brought them in right away from day one, and we did make some adjustments to the design of the home.
Yep.
Some good adjustments, So it's the interior design, exterior selections, like you said, interior and exterior selections can certainly affect the overall design of the home. So I think, yeah, for sure, it's key to have you involved right from day one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge plus, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of diversity in the style of homes that you've done throughout the past. So how do you
Yes.
get an idea on what the client's looking for?
A lot of them have their inspiration photos, the Pinterest, the houses of the world. So if they have that, or I like to go through and tell me what you like, but also tell me things that you absolutely hate that you would never want to have in your house. I mean, some people are very opposed to that brass finish that's coming back. Some people love it. So it's just kind of working through, their individual style. And my portfolio is pretty diverse because I tend to build homes for clients that they love and their style. I mean, I like to incorporate elements and make things more timeless, classic, and not so trendy, but ultimately it's their home and I want them to love it.
Do you have like a signature style that you do? Like, when somebody walks in the home, hey, this is a Katie project.
I mean, there might be some elements, but yeah, but it's a little more diverse up where we're at because some people want that rustic timber home. A lot of people are transitioning, wanting a little more nautical, coastal look. So it depends on the client.
Okay.
Do you have any must-haves, some things that you just love to see in every project, whether they're design principles, things done in the floor plan?
I think floor plan and flow is huge. Just making sure that those homes work for clients. I don't have a specific must-have, I'd say. I think it's just individual to each job.
Yeah, fair enough.
You mentioned the brass coming back. Is there some features that are really hot right now, that like some new things that you're excited to incorporate in some of your new homes coming up this year?
I am really loving that kind of mountain modern, like a lot of the builds out in Utah, Wyoming, that's going, a little little more modern, but still has that like really rustic look to it, is kind of where I'm transitioning in a lot of my projects I'm seeing. So I'm kind of loving that style.
Me too. Yeah. The Nashville home we did, Helen and Scott's home, that was a client of mine. That was an awesome project. That was a fun project to
Yeah.
do. Those mono slope roofs. Yeah, like you said, it has that modern kind of rustic twist to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the appeal. I'm getting a lot of calls on those styles of homes right now. So I'm looking forward to starting some new designs this year on that style of home. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
where-
you brought that up.
Yeah,
That's super
I'm,
hot right now.
I'm getting a lot of clients that are kind of looking for that look.
Yeah.
And coming to me and certain builders in our area, like that are wanting to kind of move their design style that direction. So.
Sure. So what do you see with that type of design? I mean, we see a lot. I mean, structure-wise, a lot of monoslope roofs,
Yep.
big tall walls. What kind of facades are you doing on the exterior of those homes?
I did one recently that, I mean, it was literally stone panels. That was like a one-of-a-kind project. I think the exterior alone was 1.5
Is
for
that right? Yeah.
material alone. But a lot of stained woods, a lot of rock accents, like big, where you're covering more than just like a wainscot, like you're doing full walls and
Oh, sure.
things like that.
Okay.
So,
John, I think you did one that had steel siding on it, didn't you?
I did out in Nevada.
Yeah. Was that a modern style home, or that was more traditional style?
More traditional style. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in a high fire zone though, so they had to incorporate some fire resistant materials.
Okay.
But what kind of trends are you seeing for like interior finishes and stuff? What's hot in the market right now that you're seeing?
seeing a lot of moves, not necessarily away from like granites, because there's some very pretty granites out there, but I am really loving quartzite. For countertops, it's still a natural stone, but even harder than quartz, granite. Quartzes are very popular too, but that's a man-made, product. I think people are just going more custom in like kitchens with, panel ready appliances, having your pot fillers, having all, just that kind of high end look to it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And whereas white cabinets have been very popular for many years, and they'll probably still continue to be popular.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing more of a trend of natural woods.
I'm seeing that more warm. It's not, the grays are kind of going out. They were popular, whites and grays, but yeah, I think that warmer, more moody color palette is definitely making a comeback. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to make a bold projection. We'll see if this is true in 15 years. But I'm thinking that as our world progresses and we become more involved with technology, sitting at desks in front of computers, your phone's on you all the time, you're going to want to live in an environment where you've got these natural materials.
Yep.
Kind of connects you in with the earth more. And you've got these big windows like you see on those mountain moderns, as well as many of our homes, where you can have the beautiful view of the outdoors.
Yes.
Pulls in a little bit of
absolutely.
that Frank Lloyd Wright essence,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Of your home just being able to continue to nature and landscape.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of biophilia. I think we talked about
That's
that with Andy when he was on the podcast,
Yeah.
for sure. Bringing those outdoors in, no doubt. The cabinetry you talked about, more wood colors and brown tones. I think we had Derek Schultz on from Birch Cabinetry. I think he said what was going to be the hot color this upcoming season? Was it a green color?
Yeah,
I believe.
you're right.
Green. Have you seen any greens coming into play?
I've done some green.
Is that right? Yeah.
Like green cabinets.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, so maybe he's onto something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of touched when a customer first reaches out to you, you get a feel for their style with, you meet with them, go over what kind of Pinterest pictures they might have or whatnot. But how does it look when you work with the architect then, the designer? I guess walk us through like, how does your process flow from like start to finish? Do you help with furniture placement when designing the floor plan? Because you've already pre-selected furniture for rooms. How does all that kind of lay out?
Yeah. So for like furniture, and that's where it goes back to like, I like to be involved from the get-go, because I can say, in that living room space, okay, this is, how big of a sectional we could fit, or it would make sense to do sofa and 2 chairs, and these are the sizes, and what's it facing? Is it facing fireplace and TV, or is it looking to the outside? Like, what's the view? How do people live in that space? So I kind of incorporate that with the architect on the floor plan on the front end. And then for selections, I kind of take their ideas. Most of my clients just kind of give me their ideas, and like I come up with a complete presentation from countertops to plumbing fixtures to light fixtures. Do that presentation, go room to room, make any small changes. If they say, don't love that light fixture, I'd love to see another option. Doesn't ever hurt my feelings. Mm-hmm. So make a new selection. And then once we've got that finalized, I'll give those selection schedules. So the plumbing list to the contractor and plumber, the electrical light fixtures to the electrician. So the contractor can bid out the project as accurately as possible versus, just bid allowances. Because most of these higher end homes, like, you want to know that number and not have a bid allowance that's way under. That's something you're going to end up selecting at the end of the day. So when we can do that in the front end, seems to flow better. The homeowner knows the expectation of where they're at budget wise, and then contractors got kind of the roadmap of what we're doing to make the project happen.
So are you giving them part numbers, like item numbers, like
Yes.
this is the exact electrical fixture I want? Okay.
Yes. Yep. So literally, appliance list, what those SKUs are, plumbing, down to finish and everything.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
And you mentioned furniture too. I think that's huge. I mean, a lot of designers just design the home without ever thinking about furniture placement. The bed, how big? I mean, a lot of people are putting king beds now in their master suites. Well, now is that going to fit in between the two windows that you have? Is it literally going to fit in the room?
Yep.
And then how is that orientation of the furniture in the great room?
Well,
I mean, are you going to focus on the fireplace or the view that you have? And is it all that furniture going to literally fit again in that room? So that's huge. That's awesome.
Well, it makes me think of, we did an electrical walkthrough for one of my projects last week, and this is most projects we're going through with the electrician and room to room, letting them know, hey, we're doing king beds in every room. So let's make sure those outlets behind the nightstands are, behind the nightstands for a king bed. We're going to do wall sconces. These are the heights, all of those things to consider. So.
Perfect. Yeah. Especially when our open concepts in our style of homes, electrical outlets, like you mentioned, you want to make sure that if you have an end table or a side table in your great room next to your sofa, you want to make sure there's an outlet there, maybe in the floor. So you're designing all of that stuff.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome. That's good to know. That's a good peace of mind, not knowing that that's thought about, and it's not something you're going to have to come back and put in your home after you maybe select furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you find that you pre-select a lot of items and then have the client just sign off on it, approve, give feedback, or are you making each decision with the client and getting their buy-in on each of those decisions?
Most of my clients have that trust in me that she knows what she's doing, and we're going to sign off. And
that's what I've seen working with interior designers in the past, is oftentimes they're making a lot of the decisions.
Yeah.
And of course the client gets final approval, but they're deferring to you.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's where it's been really helpful for us. While we have interior designers on staff, to us, they're not getting involved with the furniture, the lighting fixtures, paint colors, and they're not overseeing certain things that we don't provide at Golden Eagle.
Yep.
They're taking care of we can do cabinet design, of course, plumbing, faucets, interior doors, exterior doors, hardware, and all that. But it's nice to have someone like you being able to see that all the way through.
Yep.
It just brings the whole project together. I mean, when customers come here, we're picking out cabinets or doors or stain colors, and then you don't pick out the paint with them, and then they could go just make an off-the-wall paint selection, and it just throws off the feel of the whole house. Where having an expert like you come in and kind of take it to the finish for them, and just thinking back to the furniture. I mean, even if a designer asks, what do you plan on putting in this room? Most customers don't have that full picture in their mind. I know I worked with a customer that was from Florida. They built out in Colorado, and working with their interior designer, he was actually able to give us the exact furniture list as we were going room by room, whether we were doing, built-in bunk beds or, what size sectional he wanted in every room. And then you could actually make sure that room was sized accordingly, where the customer, I could have asked them and they'd been like, oh, we'll put a couch and a chair in there. Yeah. And then once the house is being built, they go out and pick something else out that now doesn't fit, to Justin's point, where having that thought of right from the beginning, it was such a smoother process.
So are you designing your stuff electronically, like with a CAD system or some sort of, how does that work?
I rely more on the architect and builders, or the cabinet makers sometimes do some of those layouts. Okay. I have experience in it. Mm-hmm. It's just when I have them to do it, I just kind of leave it up to them.
Yeah. So are you sketching it on the plan? Like, here's where I want the bed, and then you get it back to the architect or designer, and then they put it into their designs.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's, I was curious how that step works.
So a lot of times, those furniture layouts are on the architectural plan from the beginning too.
Nice. Oh yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Yeah. Yep.
There are probably many people that are interested in utilizing an interior designer, but they don't have an idea on where does it fall within budget. So how do you give someone an idea on what they can expect to spend for interior design services?
So I try to keep it simple and charge an hourly rate. I think that's just the easiest way to do it, because every client can be different. One client can be like, yep, sign off and keep going. Some need to review, see stuff again, change stuff. So it's really client driven on the hours that they will end up spending. Based on the square footage, and if it's a new construction versus a remodel, I usually try to give them a range of expected hours. One on the build itself, and then if they want to do the furnishings and all of that, that's kind of a separate number that I give to them if they want to do that. But most of my clients do kind of that full service start to finish. So.
Is a remodel more or less intensive than a new build?
Depends, I guess.
Okay.
Some you open up walls and you're like, we're good to go. And then some you're like, oh, now we've run into all of these issues. And
Exactly.
But in our area, at least in Brainerd Lakes area, because of prices going up and availability of lakeshore, there are a lot of people that are remodeling as well as new builds. I think COVID changed things too, where people were working from home or coming to their cabins and then living in their cabins that they've lived in for 20 years and are like, we need to update this. So a lot of people are doing remodels on cabins that they've had for a while, or buying cabins and doing, full gut remodels where you're literally taking it down to the studs. In our area too, and I'm sure it's the same here, your distance from the lake shore is huge, and if you can keep your floor plan existing, you can be much closer to the lake. If you tear it completely down, they're moving you back for setbacks and such.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've even seen it, at least if you leave one wall standing, they still consider that a remodel. So I've seen people strip it down and just leave a wall. Yeah. Start building the rest of the house, then come back and tear down that wall. Yeah. That's another remodel. So that during COVID, we had a lot of projects that, like you just said, people were relocating, getting out of the city, moving to their lake property, or just getting out of the city in general, and enjoying, working from home essentially. Yeah. So that was a huge part of our business during that period of time for sure. Yeah.
Well, Katie, we got connected with you through a client that we mutually had, and they brought you on board to be their interior designer. And John, you were the lead home consultant on that project. So let's speak a little bit of that relationship, how that all worked. And that house turned out just so beautiful. We look forward to doing a YouTube tour of it this upcoming year.
Yes, absolutely. So I got connected. The homeowners are from Kansas City, and that's a 15-hour drive, I believe, from out the door to their lake home. So once the contractor got involved, he realized probably need to involve somebody else to help with their selections. They had chosen a lot with you guys, but like you said, paint colors, plumbing fixture, some of the things that still need to be decided on. So I actually got connected. He went into our local paint stain store and asked the manager there, who they'd recommend for a designer, and gave them my contacts. So yeah, met with those homeowners. I was looking back at pictures July or June of 2021, and yeah, helped them the whole way. So.
And then you kind of came in a little bit later in that project, but you were able to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were probably able to take some of the stain colors and stuff that we had selected and help drive some of your stuff.
Yep.
I assume kind of take the inspiration further.
Yep, took those, and then the homeowner's sister has a cabinet company down in Iowa. So kind of used what they were using for cabinets to take all those to go pick out countertops, to pick out tile, to do the paint colors, light fixtures.
Are you putting together a presentation then, like of all the colors that they've selected, all the items you selected? Is that done in like a slide deck?
Yeah, I come up
PowerPoint, or what
with
does
a
that look like?
PowerPoint kind of mood board, room to room, and then meet with the homeowner with all of the selections and kind of go room to room with, okay, this is your wood flooring, this is, countertops I'm proposing with your backsplash, with the cabinet colors.
Nice. Do you have physical samples then of
Yes.
most of those products?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. I think being able to see those products in person is a huge benefit. Besides seeing them on a computer screen, having them right there in front of the client is awesome. That's a huge benefit of of our showroom. I know clients love coming to our showroom, being able to literally physically see and touch the products that are going to be going into their home.
Yep. Yeah, no, I love your whole display area out there. That's, it's a great setup.
Zach touched earlier on like budget and stuff. And I think some customers get scared to hire an interior designer thinking it's going to blow the budget. It's really going to cost a lot of money. But, to make bad decisions or to make a mistake in I don't even say design, but just the finishing of the home could cost a lot more. Where I think bringing an interior designer on, making sure it's professionally, I don't want to say decorated, but, professionally furnished, if you will, could only add to the value of the home, So I think it's just another investment, really, if you think about it in that sense.
Yeah, I think people have kind of a misconception of that yes, hiring a designer is going to be costly, but mistakes that could be made may be more costly. So yeah, a lot of my clients just have that trust in me to like, okay, she's got it handled. Like, it's not my expertise. I have some clients, one recently, that he's just like, if somebody gives me a call, I just tell them to call you. Like, that's not my wheelhouse. Like, and you know what you're doing. Like, you answer the questions.
Hired you for a reason, right?
Yeah, most contractors are probably not good at picking out paint colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, leave it to the expert. I mean, it's just like designing a home too. I drive around and look at some homes, and it's like, boy, you can really tell that customer maybe designed their own home. You can definitely tell when somebody's hired an interior designer to design their home professionally.
Because there's no pink or blue walls painted. They're not bringing furniture from their old house that doesn't fit the new style at all. So obviously every home's gonna dictate color schemes and stuff, but are you seeing darker floors, lighter floors? Is there a more popular trend in certain directions?
Kind of a mix.
Okay.
I'm doing one project right now that's very dark wood floors, but white cabinets. And I've got some that are lighter wood floors as well. So
Still kind of a mix.
I think it's kind of dependent on the overall design.
Sure.
Yeah, the interesting thing, there's a strong demand for that LVP, luxury vinyl planking. What I don't care about with it is that transition strip that's required once you exceed a certain amount of square footage in the room, because technically it's still a floating floor.
Yep.
And they'll only warrant it if you have that transition strip.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want that underneath the door.
Right.
When I enter into a new room, especially if that same material is continued in. It's one thing if you're transitioning from the LVP to tile.
Yep.
I can be okay with that.
When you're changing floor.
If you're changing floor.
Yeah.
But if it's still the same material, that really throws me off.
Well, and then the other thing is too, is like if it rolls into your stairs, what do you do for your stairs, your stair treads? Those typically aren't gonna match then, right?
There's some companies that offer some stair tread options, but a lot of them still have, it's like a transition on the edge. So it's like it raises on the end of the stair. I'm just not I use it, not to say that I don't,
Yeah.
but I love natural hardwoods for floors.
Natural products.
Yep.
Okay.
I found that LVP isn't necessarily incredibly affordable either. It's just more
Mm-hmm.
affordable on the installation side.
Yes.
Whereas on, imagine you're doing tile, you're going to have at least half the money is in the installation of the tile.
Yep.
Now, the biggest consideration for people when they start to talk about that LVP or tile, it's usually in a finished lower level basement because they're not going to want to put hardwood over that concrete.
Yep.
So that's usually when we see this conversation, or of course, bathroom areas.
Now you touched earlier, like brass finishes are coming back. You're starting to see in some of your homes. Obviously, we do more rustic timber style, so I think we're still seeing more blacks and oil rub bronze and stuff. But what are you seeing on like the more traditional market?
I am seeing more blacks.
Okay.
I'm doing one home right now with it's Lux Gold from Brizo, so it's not that shiny like bright brass. And that's going to be a super high end home that I'm working on. But yeah, I see more blacks, stainless or a brushed nickel. There's some oil rub bronze out there too, so it's kind of a mix. I don't do as much with the like brass,
Sure.
that bright brass.
The Lux Gold, that's more of a muted.
It's very muted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Here you are, a professional, an interior designer, an expert. What does it look like if you were building a brand new home
For myself,
for yourself? What are like the key tenets of, all right, now's my chance. I'm going to do this. These are my core principles. These are the concepts I would apply to my own build. Because that's something where I think it'd be really valuable for anyone watching or listening. They want to know, what would the expert do?
yeah. For myself personally, we are planning to remodel and do a big addition on our house in the next 5 years or so. And I kind of put it in the back of my brain of what designs I would incorporate because I'm busy with clients and my mind is always changing for myself personally because you see new cool stuff. We're big on entertaining. So, I want a massive island and a big kitchen and incorporating that space into the living space. So when we have friends and family, like we can all be there together, but separate kind of gathering spaces so people can have more intimate conversations, but everybody's gathered around. We're on a lake ourselves. So that and beauty, but still like low maintenance products. We've got a 7 and 9 year olds. We entertain on the lake. So making sure it's beautiful, but it's functional and not a high maintenance products that I would be using in my home.
What are some examples of low and high maintenance products?
I would say like countertops, like the quartzites, because that's a little more, it's a harder, denser product than quartz or granite. So for durability, if somebody spills wine on it, you can clean it up more easily. It's not going to stain. With furniture, performance fabrics on products, so same deal. We finally bought a off-white sectional that I never thought I'd see with little kids, and you can spill on it and literally just wipe it off.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
And I suppose flooring matters quite a bit. Especially being on a lake, you're bringing in sand from time to time. So we got to make sure that doesn't wear away.
Yes. So I would go with probably a natural hardwood that I would be able to sand down and restain over an LVP. That's my personal preference. My husband would do the LVP all day, but I'm going to want the hardwood. If you do an engineered wood, you don't have that luxury sometimes because it's kind of a thin veneer layer on top of the plywood. So I would say a natural hardwood would be the way that I'd go in my own home.
What about outdoor living spaces? I know in Minnesota, I see a lot of screen porches, covered porches. Do you guys have any of those on your designs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because the mosquitoes come out.
For sure.
So, but yeah, outdoor living spaces are huge. I know on the project I did with you guys, they've got a very nice outdoor deck on the top with multiple, kind of seating areas with a fireplace up there. And then downstairs is kind of the it's the cigar room, but they've got a full window accordion door that opens.
Yeah, no, those are super popular right now. So
How do you stay up to date on the current trends and what's coming down the road?
I mean, I like to follow other designers just to see what they're doing and find inspiration from that. I go to the High Point Furniture Market at least once a year, try to hit the Vegas market. That's more furniture, home decor focused. KBIS, didn't go this last year, but planning to go next year. So getting to some of those events and seeing new trends and new product, I think is huge in this industry. So
What are some of the social accounts that you follow that for inspiration?
I am a big fan of April Tomlin Interiors. She's out of Nashville. Kimberly Parker Designs is out west. She does some amazing homes. I mean, there's the Studio McGee's of the world, the Amber Interiors, but just to try to follow a variety, to see what everybody else is doing, I think it's important just to see what's coming down the road.
Right.
So
It would be nice for you to be able to do home tours like Studio McGee does.
yes.
Because there's so much intention behind all of your decisions.
Yes.
There are things that, people realize the home looks beautiful, that everything is cohesive and makes sense, but they may not understand the decision making behind the scenes.
Yep.
It'd be great for you to be able to explain that.
Yeah. That's my plan on
Oh, good.
future homes. So yeah.
Well, Katie, you obviously have a lot of experience with floor plan design as well. Where did this all start with you? Were you the kid growing up that was drawing floor plans, or you'd be driving around neighborhoods and looking at the homes?
Yeah, actually, I was that kid.
I'm personifying onto you.
Yeah, nope. I was the kid that, I mean, I knew like middle school, like I want to do design. Like, so I kind of focused art classes in high school. And then, college started for interior design, ended up going down a different path, which I graduated 2009. Wasn't a lucrative time to be an interior designer. So actually went retail management at that point, and then have worked my way kind of back into it, working for furniture stores, some other design studios, and then it'd be 5.5 years I went out on my own. So
How did that transition begin? There are a lot of aspiring interior designers out there watching today,
yeah.
and they can see themselves wanting to take that leap at some point. How did that begin with you? Was it part-time?
It was part-time at first. So I still worked for a local furniture and home decor store, doing all their visual merchandising, and helped them with buying as well. And then I just started getting so busy that I just had to like make the leap. It's a scary leap to make, but had my husband's backing at the time and did it. And then like 3 years ago, he came and is now working with me full time. So it's like a family biz. So
What's his name? Yeah.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
how do most people find you then?
A lot of referrals from builders or architects. A lot of people do find my website, Instagram, some of the social media platforms as well. And I think that's important to kind of stay relevant on all of those, because people do find you that way as well.
Okay.
Well, on your first project, you didn't have a portfolio to show.
No.
So how did that happen?
I literally put on photos from previous projects because I wasn't signed in to, some interior design studios say like kind of sign a no compete clause. Well, the previous store I'd worked at didn't have that. So, I mean, those were my designs. So I worked on a website through Wix, spent like 2 months on it before I hit the publish button. But put on just a couple of projects. They weren't anything stellar, but you have to put yourself out there some way, somehow. And I got a call for my first clients. They were out of the Longville area, so about an hour north of us, new build. And now they're a featured project on my website. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Good for you.
Well, I'm sure Kevin brought in some unique strengths to the team.
Yeah.
What are some of the strengths that he has that your clients really started to appreciate?
Well, he keeps me sane, number one. But he helps a lot with just management of our inventory for client projects, because we do furnish for multiple homes. So we've got, storage units where, we're ordering the furniture, we're storing the furniture, we're installing, kind of through all of that. So he's a big help with that. It kind of came up, he's accountant by trade, but, started doing landscaping, and then that landscaping had a construction company. So it's like he's kind of been in the industry for a couple of years prior to coming to work with me, but also saw like I was getting swamped with like needing to be at client meetings, but also since we're buying light fixtures for clients, like the electrician calls and said, hey, we're going to be out there tomorrow. Are the light fixtures on site? Well, no, they're in my storage unit. Now I have to hustle to get all these products there where like he can kind of take some of that off my plate, and kind of be that runner for projects as well. So, yeah.
Well, with his accounting background, as well as being the main one, doing inventory management, sounds like he's your go-to spreadsheet guy.
Yes. Yeah. He wears many hats. So it's great. And we are staying married and happy. So a lot of people are like, I couldn't work with my wife or husband. And I'm like, no, it makes it great. We can write our own schedules, do the things for kids' activities. And, a lot of days, like I'm in client meetings and he's, running with truck and trailer to, put stuff in storage units and do that type of thing. So like some days we don't see each other other than to talk on the phone to like ask each other questions about stuff. So we're making it work.
Nice.
Yeah.
With us having a family business here, I'll go home at the end of the day and my wife will ask, did you see your sister? Did you see your mom and your dad? Oftentimes I don't even cross paths with them here at Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
You're at your desk, you're doing your own thing.
Yep.
Of course, we've got a pretty big facility here as well. But yes, the nature of a family business, it's nice that you can, you kind of got them trapped on the weekends. You can still talk work if you want to.
Yes.
And they're going to let you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. Or I'd feel guilty calling John or Justin on the weekend.
Exactly.
But I can call my parents or my sister or my uncle. Yeah. So how do you handle that? A family business, isn't it tempting to discuss work all the time? That would be the default conversation. I'm not suggesting that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just oftentimes labeled as perhaps a long-term obstacle in a family business, that the family communications always default to the business first.
Yeah. And a lot of times they naturally do, and you have to kind of like, okay, let's stop talking shop and like make that conscious effort to not talk about work. Sometimes it's just like, let's just have the conversation and while we're making dinner and be done with it. But yeah, it is tempting to do that. And one thing is, a small business owner too, you think you're getting all of this freedom at the same time, but like everything relies on you and, my husband, to keep the business running at the same time. So, yeah.
I think today we've really outlined a lot of the advantages of working with an interior designer. There may be some who have seen your work. They love what you've done and they want to hire you, but perhaps they don't live near you. Is it available for them to work remotely with you?
Yeah, I would. I do offer that service as well, to work remotely with clients.
How can people best get in touch with you and see your portfolio?
My website, KatieKottkeInteriors.com, or any of the social media, Facebook, Instagram, House, Pinterest, at the same, Katie Kottke Interiors.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
The project you worked on was incredible.
Yes.
I look forward to meeting you out there,
Yes.
probably this summer,
Looking
perhaps
forward
this
to
fall,
it. Yes.
for an incredible tour.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Imagine a life where your home is a work of art, where nature and luxury embrace, with a custom Golden Eagle log and timber home. Our expert team is here to guide you every step of the way.